Let's talk about fulfillment. So Tony Robbins said that success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. And I believe that's true. Fulfillment, more than anything, is a process, right? It's a process of being fulfilled. It's not something that you can offload for a future state in, 1 year from now. We typically associate fulfillment with success because we believe that the success will bring us fulfillment, as easy as that. It's of course not the case. And unfortunately, when we realize that it's not the case, for most of us, it's too late to do something about it. Because we only know to play the game that brings us success. We have no means and no idea how to play the game that brings us fulfillment. So what we tend to do is to discard the importance of fulfillment in life and double down on that which makes us even more successful, despite the fact that it doesn't create underlying fulfillment. And because we don't focus on fulfillment, we don't focus on the process, we don't focus on the execution of those actions which should make us fulfilled, we discount the importance of the process towards achieving the goal that we then take as a substitute for what happiness should be, goal achievement. Success, however, is just, in my opinion, and I'm not a good example of that, but I'm doing my best to align around that definition. Success is a state, is an ongoing active state of being fulfilled. True success is an ongoing active state of being fulfilled. It's not something that you can project in the future, because the future doesn't exist. The only thing that exists is this moment in which we can decide to be successful, in which we can decide to be fulfilled. So success and fulfillment, in theory, should mean more or less the same thing. Fulfillment is the enjoyment of the activity that generates success. But they are tightly linked together. They are not one in service of a future thing that will happen at some point. It doesn't mean, however, that being fulfilled and staying in this state of success, right, this active state of being fulfilled, which is for me the good definition of success, it doesn't mean that by living in that state, you will not generate certain outcomes, certain successful outcomes that can be deemed as such from the outside, right, by looking at objective metrics of success. Right? But the problem is, of course, that we trade off fulfillment for success. And we deem them to be two different things. We generate artificial happiness in the present and make it concrete in the future. Meaning that we are willing to compromise on the quality of our experience, of our life experience, which only happens in this moment. We compromise the quality of this moment and of life in order to get somewhere that should then save us, right? That should then give us the answers. And I think the source of unfulfillment and unhappiness and failure, in the definition at least of Tony Robbins, right, who said that success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. So in this case, if we don't enjoy doing what we are doing now, then projecting into the future that future happiness is just the source of all unhappiness, in my opinion. It's this source of unsatisfactoriness, right? Unsatisfactoriness is what Buddha deemed to be the source of unhappiness, right? In the human condition, unsatisfactoriness. So it's not a lack of happiness as such. It's unsatisfactoriness. It's the state. It's that slipping away of happiness, right? Whenever you get to somewhere, whenever you accomplish something, there is this void still that creeps in immediately after you celebrate, if you get to even celebrate. And this void, this voice that tells you that, okay, you reach this destination, but you need to go to the next one in order to actually be successful. And we postpone happiness on the back of this self-deception, in a way. And it's fascinating. And what's even more fascinating is that despite being able to see it clearly, despite me being able to see it clearly, it's still not enough to actually commit fully on living a fulfilling life. It's still not enough to take the courageous actions and have the faith required to do only that which makes you fulfilled. To only spend time in doing those things which give you a sense of purpose, right? And whenever we talk about living a fulfilling life, being successful in the moment, in the present moment, we inevitably have to talk about values, right? Values, what are values? Values are just generalizations of experiences that are important to us, right? I just discovered recently that the most important value for me is service, for example. So whenever I live my life and I'm not in service of others, I tend to suffer. I value also love. I also value compassion. I also value integrity. And if I'm not doing in the day-to-day actions, or I'm not engaging in activities which give me these values, right, which don't make me feel loving towards myself or others, if I'm not feeling compassionate towards myself and others, if I'm not feeling integrous, then I'm not fulfilled. And it's as easy as that, right? As simple as that. Just live in accordance to your values. Easier said than done, of course. When you lived your life according to the old traditional definition of success, that you have to accomplish certain things, right? Material possessions, certain career status, certain achievements, right? Palpable achievements that others can recognize and label as being, yes, this is an achievement, this is, now you are successful because I can see it, right? When you live and build your life like that, it's very difficult from that point, right? Or at some point in a later stage and season of life, to just redefine success for yourself according to your own true felt definition, right? Like the definition that I created for success, right? As being this ongoing active state of being fulfilled. This is success. I cannot measure success in the future based on the premise of, grinding for 1 or 2 years in order to reach that, because I might get there, I might not get there. I might have 1 year, I might not have 1 year. And if I don't have 1 year, would it be worth it to compromise the quality of my life in order to get to some artificial projected future outcome that I believe will make me feel better about myself? It's such an absurd way of thinking, but we are all doing it so naturally. And we do it so naturally because it's not our own thinking, really. It's an inherited way of thinking about what success in life means. Success in life means what others believe it means. And what others believe it means, they inherit the same definition from society, from others, who make it a practical definition, right? Success has to be objectively measured, because otherwise you are likely not a very valuable and contributing member of society. At the same time, there are people who are more successful, based on my definition at least, and have a greater impact in the life of the entire humanity without necessarily producing things visible and tangible on the outside world. Like, think of, I don't know, Nelson Mandela, think of Mahatma Gandhi, think of all these greats, right, who just lived their life in a beautiful state and inspired millions of people around them. These are not people who created, who produced on the outside things as such for the industries, right? They were thought leaders. They were people who inspired an entire world. And how did they inspire them? They inspired them by genuinely being truthful to themselves, by honoring who they were, by being fully committed to their values, by being in alignment with humanity and what humanity needed at that point. And they were the face of that kindness. They were the face of that unconditional love. They were living their values so deeply that they were mirroring on the outside the infinite love and potential they felt inside of them for the entire world, right? And they were willing to give that away. That is success. That is success. They were not successful in their minds once they finished their mission. They didn't put this conditioning onto themselves. Because if you put conditioning, if you condition your success, if you condition your fulfillment based on some arbitrary future, metrics of success, then you are imprisoning your ability to be now the kind of person that everyone would benefit from now, which is the only moment that really matters. And I have to remind myself this all the time. All the time. And just reminding me this is, I guess, at this point at least, the best substitute for real courage that I can muster. So that I can really walk my talk and really be successful against my own definition and really be fulfilled against my own definition, which I'm not today. Because I'm still playing the same game that I played for most of my life. And I'm failing at it. I'm not the best at it. Just because I don't recognize it as being my game. I don't recognize it as being what I can put out in the world today. It's not representative of my own potential. It's not a good catalyst for my own potential anymore. But everything is a process. Like, fulfillment is a process. And I learned, and I learn every single day, that embracing hardship and challenges when they appear is the best way to live also. Because in retrospect, these challenges, they are always helpful. Think about your life. Think about a very challenging period. It might have been a week, it might have been 1 year in your life. And look at who you've become today because or thanks to that. Look now with this kind of detached emotionality from that episode, that difficult episode in your life, and be grateful for it existing in your life, because it brought you to you. It revealed in you someone who you didn't even know exists. And you get to take that with you for the rest of your life. Imagine the loss if you are not able to even discover that in yourself. So let this be your consolation through periods of difficulty, that you need it in order to develop a much powerful and loving ally for yourself as life goes on. Let that challenge to get out of you the strength that you think you don't have today, which is nevertheless there, because somehow you are dealing with everything and you are going day by day, meeting this new, better self every single day, thanks to the challenge, thanks to the struggle, thanks to the difficulty. Be grateful for it. Be grateful for it, even if in real time you would do almost anything to just relieve it, to relieve the pressure, to relieve the tension, to just get over with it, right? Enjoy it. Breathe into it. Welcome it. The easier way out of everything is through it. And you wouldn't wish it to be any easier than it is now, because this is the greatest opportunity. This is an amazing opportunity for you to grow. And it will always be the case. So enjoy it. And decide to be fulfilled. Now. Happy exploration.